Hello, and welcome to the Noted Podcast. We are finishing up our 3-week series
Ba-bow.
of Christmas specials and TV shows. And do we have a doozy for you today? Two
A
doozies, isn't that right,
doozy.
Eric?
I would say one's more of a doozy than the other, but doozies are ready.
Doozies are ready. Doozy sounds like a plant, because Daisy.
Oh, doozies sound like Uzis.
Is Uzi a
Locked and
plant?
loaded. No, SMGs.
Oh,
Uzis.
Uzi. I
Uzi.
was thinking Uzi with like O's.
Like
Like
ooze, like
doozy,
ooze, as in
Uzi.
a verb, as like it oozes,
Yes.
or a species from Doctor Who, the ooze.
The ooze. Dude, I've been watching through Doctor Who, by the
I
way. I'm
know,
almost done with season
I
2.
know. When I was finding Rick and Morty, I saw Doctor Who, and I was like, ah, beautiful.
I'm I'm slowly chipping away. It's taken me a while, but I've now realized that I'm
That
like
Doctor Who's a good
Rose.
show.
Oh, I knew Doctor Who was a good
Yeah,
show. I just never continued it. Like I never like made fun of people who liked it. I just like there was just so much there, and I was already watching a lot of other stuff. I didn't want to just like go back and rewatch it
yeah,
all. But now that I'm like, I just need a show to watch consistently while I sub in other shows here and there,
yeah,
short
yeah.
ones. This is now it.
Dude, it's Doctor Who's it's a great show. It's a
It
good one,
is.
and I'm happy that my Christmas episode got you to watch more Doctor Who.
Inspired this, and
Yeah,
Rose is currently my favorite companion. I know she's the only one we've had so far, but I know what some of the other companions are like. I love
yeah.
Rose.
No, she is a solid one. She is
Okay,
OG.
she is. Okay, jump into what we're talking
Yes,
about today, though.
sir.
We already started talking about this off podcast, so we'll just start with it. The Rick and Morty final season finale of it was season 6,
Yep,
right?
yep.
You know what I've noticed, dude?
Hmm.
All of our the last like 4 Christmas episodes we've done, including the second episode of this episode
Yes.
that we're gonna talk about, are all from season
Yep.
6.
They were all season
That's
6, episodes 13, 12, and 10.
so weird.
It's amazing.
So
Consistency.
so fucking weird. And it wasn't done on
Nope.
purpose. Um But this episode is the finale of Rick and Morty and of season 6, season finale. And we get a couple plot twists and stuff. But the main reason I initially fell in love with this episode and wanted to do it is purely for the lightsaber going vertical bit.
Yeah.
Never thought about that.
Yeah,
I
same.
never thought about dropping a lightsaber perfectly vertical and what would happen, but it is the funniest shit.
It's the greatest doomsday Christmas like cameo, I guess you could call it, like little like nod of just like, Die Hard kind of thing that we just watched Love Hard, so it was kind of just like it was a good reference to life.
Yeah. Dude, so real quick in this episode, Rick gets the whole family, or Rick bot, because we later figure out he's a
Yeah,
robot,
he's
but
been a robot for the last like two episodes or something.
yeah, and so Rick gives the whole family Christmas gifts, and he gives Morty a lightsaber, which I think Morty has canonically been asking for a lightsaber since like season 1.
Yeah, he's been asking for it for
Uh,
a minute,
yeah, which who wouldn't
honestly.
when you have a
Yeah.
Rick? I mean, you have a portal gun, give me a fucking
And not
lightsaber.
only that, since they've like canonized that they're in our universe by like saying a million references this entire
Oh yeah.
season that only we would understand, which is amazing.
Oh yeah. And I love the fact that he gives him a lightsaber, and they're playing like Fruit Ninja with lightsabers on the garage, and then Morty accidentally drops it, and he's like, "You dropped it perfectly vertical," and it just starts going through all the basements and drops into the crust of the earth, going through the crust, going into the core of the
Yeah.
earth, going through like the mantle and all that, and if it hits the core, then the whole earth is going to explode.
Yup.
That's how they should have stopped the Death Star.
I mean, honestly, they should just they should have just dropped a lightsaber.
Drop the lightsaber perfectly vertical, baby.
Yeah,
Like, it's the dumbest shit,
it
dude.
really is.
It's
I just
it's
realized that
so-
I got 2 episodes mixed up already. That's what
which
happens
ones?
when you watch a whole season of a show. I said the Die Hard reference, but that was a completely different episode.
Yeah, I got a little confused when you said that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's such a good episode though. I love that one.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. When they do
yeah,
when Summer does a Die Hard.
yeah. And he breaks into the Chips and Blitz, and they
Yeah,
get stuck in the or Morty gets stuck in the Roy game. A million
yep,
different versions of himself. It's
yeah.
so
They're
funny.
all
It's so
Morty.
funny. Sorry,
Um,
I liked that episode.
but it's a really good episode, and it's a good callback too, because they go back to Chips and Blitz and
Yeah,
bits, and specifically go to the Roy simulator.
yeah, that's so good.
Um, but I love the fact that in in this show, like in this episode, like so Morty gets a lightsaber, drops it through. That's how he figures out that Rick's been alive, and since the Sons of Citadel episode, like an episode or two back, there's been a robot in Rick's place, which I like because Rick would never be that thoughtful.
Yeah,
He's growing, but he hasn't grown that much.
yeah, that is true.
And and he was doing that until he could finish his project, which is finding Rick Prime, the guy who killed his wife.
Yeah, which is actually
Um,
like the original Rick.
yep, yep. And so he's trying to find Rick Prime, and while this is happening, uh, he's had the robot take care, like be with the family, and he's 22% more compassionate and thoughtful than than their Rick.
Yeah, I
And
love the line when he's like, "If you were to know how often I hate your little shithead," or something like that. He's like, "You would hate me," or something like that. You know, do you remember what I'm talking about? Oh, okay.
no,
Yeah.
what bit is
No,
that?
he's just explaining the fact that he's like always mean to Morty, and then
Oh yes, he's
yeah,
like, how much more is that? He's like, if you were to know, then you would hate
yeah.
me. Yep,
It's
yep.
so funny.
The president shows up, belittles Morty for liking Star Wars, and then joins, helps Morty try to stop the
I'm
lightsaber.
only 14.
Yeah, and then they build a drill, which I don't know if you know, the drill looked like a
Oh yeah,
lightsaber
no,
hilt.
I noticed it.
And they go drill into the earth to pick up the lightsaber. They get the lightsaber, and that's after Rick agrees to help them. After they say Morty's like, just destroy it, and he pulls out his own lightsaber, Vertisaber,
Yeah, a red one.
and yeah, and drops it. But then it's like only job is to stay vertical, but it won't listen to Rick
Yep,
anymore.
yep.
So it turns off its compass and its brain and starts going around randomly and kills a ton of people in Italy.
It's so amazing.
And then the president like convincing himself that the Saudis did it.
Yeah,
And then then we see Morty goes up, sits with his family, or goes to the family and tells everyone that Rick, the robot Rick, is a robot, and they all slow mo with like I think in the Eyes of an Angel playing in the background, or no, Silent Night.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they kill the robot Rick,
Oh
and
goodness.
and that's after Jerry says that he considers him his father too now,
Yeah.
and then uh the president reveals he's in space and the lightsaber is going to the core of the earth, and
Oh
they
no, oh
rebuild
no,
robot
I
Rick.
dropped it. I mean, Morty dropped it.
Yeah, and then they rebuild Robot Rick and they go up to the White House, which is now flying in space. And this is one of my favorite jokes of the whole episode happened when the president releases tons of droids to fight Morty, but they're all like terrible lightsaber ideas. And it's like one droid has like they're droidicas but have lightsabers instead of guns.
Yeah,
And then another droid has a lightsaber eyes and ends up cutting its whole body off and like killing the rest of the droids.
it's so funny.
And and then there's a lightsaber Gatling gun
Yep.
that Morty shoots him with, but then the robot Rick, who's trying to kill himself, jumps in the way and gets stabbed, and then the lightsabers fall through him and drop perfectly vertical into the White House and rip a hole in there, and then Rick saves them by opening up a portal. Robot Rick dies, the president leaves, and then that's when Rick brings Morty into his secret that he's hunting Rick Prime.
Yep.
And that's when they're like, season 7, Morty.
Oh,
Next
gosh.
season's gonna be you and I hunting on Rick Prime, and we'll try to stay healthy.
That's my favorite kind of, like, what was it? The second or third episode of this season, when he, or no, it's when he fixes the portal gun, and he starts zipping Morty around, and
yeah, it does a portal
yeah.
where he.
Yeah, it does the infinite, like, elevator kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that reference of him, like, going crazy and being like, million seasons, Morty, kind of thing, is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite, like, callbacks to itself. They do it so many times in this show.
Oh yeah. Well, and I love the fact that, like, in that episode, because that's the dinosaur episode, which is my favorite concept of dinosaurs coming back to life.
Oh yeah.
Is that they're actually a sentient species that's fallen apart.
Yeah.
And they because they hate Rick, because Rick was gonna kill himself with them, and they destroy the asteroid that's the race that's meant to kill them.
The meteor.
Yeah. And because of that, they fix the rift that's stopping his portal travel.
That was a whole season.
Yeah, he's like, you know how long I could have milked that?
Yeah. That was a whole season worth of content.
Which I liked that they solved it that way, because they still had like 5 or 6 episodes where they did milk that, but then they kind of got back to normal Rick and Morty.
Yep. It was so good. I really wanted him to keep the portal gun that the dinosaurs gave him.
Yeah, I like that portal gun, but it's very Rick for him to destroy it.
Yeah, of course.
I think one of my favorite episodes of the season has to be the continuity episode, though.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Where they meet Retcon, or Barretcon, and they're like, oh, that's a bad name. It could have been Retcon. It's like, it always was.
And then, you never were born with bones. Turns into noodles.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they get out of it through the help of Previously On.
Oh yeah. Yeah. After they get help from the train man, right?
No, that's the Stop the Train Man.
Oh, right. They
get help from some writer who I don't know who he is.
Yeah, it's the writer who made the Train Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. The writer who made the Train Man is the guy who's helping the Train Man find, because he asked him, I need motivation. It's like, your motivation is motivation. But no, there's because that writer's helping him. But when Rick and Morty get sent into the plane between the fourth wall and what is canon, and they meet some random wayward traveler who's a ghost.
Oh, right.
It's some reference to a writer I don't know who apparently was anti-Semitic, because at night he started cursing at them and calling them Jews and shit.
Oh, God.
And started saying, like, really terrible shit to them.
Yeah.
Kanye, is that you?
Oh, jeezums. Got him.
But no, I like this season a lot. I thought this was a great end of the episode, and I could not, even though there's a lot of other shows that I like their Christmas episodes and they hold more sentimental value, I couldn't help myself but choose this one as the final cherry on top of this 3-week series we've been doing.
Yeah.
Because I love any throwback to lightsabers, and just the dropping a lightsaber vertically is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
I feel I liked it as well. It was a good one.
Well, do you want to jump into our next show, the one you chose?
It was a good one, yes. Episode that I picked from the show that I picked was another show, from season 6, and it was episode 12 of How I Met Your Mother. and it was a false positive. It's the episode where Lily and Marshall they're trying to make a baby, and then they get a positive, but it's a false positive, as we learn throughout the entire episode of things. Um, we
And this writing technique they use in this episode is one of my favorite that they do throughout the whole
oh
show,
yeah,
where they go and show like different people's perspectives and like
yeah, they
rewind
kind
and do it
of
and rewind.
play everything out backwards and forward at the
Yes.
same time, or like while this was happening kind of thing.
Well, yeah, cut to this person and they do like the whole story in like
Yeah,
strips.
yeah, and then that leads into the next thing, and it's really good. Um, so pretty much the whole premise of this episode is that they all of the characters, Robin, Barney, Marshall, Lily, Ted, they're all given like options to either better themselves or better the community around them, or like be true to themselves kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
like Robin has the opportunity to become a coin flipping bimbo on a heads or tails 50-50 show.
It's heads or tails for $1 million.
Yeah.
I think it's called, or $1 million coin flip is what it's called. I think.
Yeah, and so she like, she's always wanted to be like a professional news reporter and be like the face of the face of a news place, right? But they recently got a new position for the coin flipping bimbo position, so she has to take that. And then Barney is Barney, of course, and man has a diamond suit.
Because he got a gigantic Christmas bonus and wanted to spend it on a pinstriped diamond crescent
Yeah.
suit.
And so
Which honestly didn't even look that bad.
I think it looked horrible. It was so gross.
Imagine if you had that, dude. You could just like pay things in
Yeah, I
diamonds.
mean, bro, freaking at the end of it, Ted was like, "You could retire on his pants alone."
Yeah.
And then Barney's like looking all skittish around, but the whole premise of it is that like Marshall and Lily, they really really wanted a kid, right? And then when they figured out that they weren't getting a child, they were actually like relieved about it, because they saw like all the stress that was going to happen to them, and they saw all like the crazy things that they weren't ready for. And is kind of similar, not similar, but like all of the stories kind of related to them, to itself, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Daniel?
Yeah, because they were all of their friends. Well, not all of their friends, because Ted was focused on his Christmas themed movie Snap.
This is correct.
But Marshall and Lily were freaking out about their responsibility of having like moving forward with their life, while Barney and Robin, when they saw that, both second guessed what they were doing with their life and decided to change, because they're like, "Oh, they're being so responsible. We need to move forward
Yeah.
and be responsible." And then when they got the text saying, "Oh, it was a false positive," they both ended up doing what they weren't going to do, because Barney was going to give it to charity, give stuff to charity, while Robin then was going to go
Coin flip.
be
Bimbo.
instead of being a coin flip bimbo, she was going to go to the global worldwide news network thing
Yeah.
that she got the job offer for.
Yeah.
And then so it all kind of wrapped into itself like that.
Yeah. It's a good episode. I like it. And then
Yeah.
at the very end, when Ted is like, he throws his little like fit, throws his movie snack on the ground, dude. Yeah, it's a good episode.
Yeah, he throws his gingerbread house on the ground and says, "You guys," and starts yelling at them like a parent, telling them they need to be better.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You guys go home and make love now and make a baby, and you, Robin, I know you, Barney, go fucking return that suit and give it to Chair. And he's like, no. And then that's when he
Yeah.
screams to all the criminals in New York that this man's wearing a diamond encrusted suit
Yep.
and you can retire on the pants alone. And then looks at Robin and says, "You're gonna accept that job at the global news network, no matter what." And she's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Do it now." And she's like, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." "No, call him now. And then he's gonna be a best man for his childhood friend Punchy.
Oh,
And he
Punchy, fucking Punchy.
Yeah, and he's like, "Ted, I can't marry her." He's like, "Yes, you are, you love her." And he's like, "You're right," and then hangs up.
Yeah.
And then he goes in and gets a ticket for It's a Wonderful Life.
Yep. There was another How I Met Your Mother Christmas episode that I was gonna pick besides this one, and it's the reason why I didn't is because it's actually 3 episodes. So like you have to watch all 3 episodes to then watch the 4th episode, which is like the Christmas episode, but you have to watch all the other ones. And I was just like, no, that's like watching a movie. That's too many episodes.
Yeah.
It's when Barney dates Patrice, and is setting everything up to propose to Robin. That's a Christmas episode. When he
I didn't realize that. That's
when he proposes to her. It's on the rooftop, and destroys the bro code. Secretly destroys it. Doesn't actually destroy it. Comes back later.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of like the final play.
Yeah.
Where it's him getting Robin.
Yeah.
And even though it's kind of like fucked that he still lied and everything, but also was just trying to prove to her that he wants to only be with her in his most Barney way possible.
Yeah.
It's just so... It's so good and so Barney.
That it is. There's also the one where Lily steals Christmas, and that's the episode name, and it's the one when it's when Marshall and Lily are broken up, and she's living in that little apartment by herself. That like her bed doesn't even fold down all the way.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of it, she like breaks back into Marshall's apartment and then decorates the whole apartment for Ted and stuff like that. But
I vaguely remember that.
That's another really, really good one. But
I'm realizing there's so much about the show that I've just like I watched it through a couple times, but I just forgot.
It's a good show.
It is. I would say I would rewatch it, but I have a larger undertaking right now.
Oh, and a better undertaking.
Yes. Plus, though, I will say the best part about watching Doctor Who through, now just getting back to Doctor Who at this point, is the fact that, like, I've seen a lot of these episodes, not, like, forever ago, or bits and pieces when, like, my old roommate would watch it and I'd sit down with him, or when I was in school and stuff, or I've seen bits and pieces of it, like, clips, but I haven't, like, watched it all in chronological order, and so it's like,
so
I'm
good.
watching a show I've watched already, but, like, it's been long enough where it was confusing enough where it's like, oh, I kind of know what's going on here, or I kind of have an idea, but I really don't.
And you want to know the best thing about it as well for you?
And it's been really fun because it's like familiar but also new. You know what I mean?
It's also crazy is because it's a time travel show, Daniel. So technically, you've always been watching it in chronological order.
Just because it's all out of order.
Exactly. It doesn't matter when you watch it. It's all relevant. That's the beauty of Doctor Who, is that every episode is always happening right now.
You're not wrong.
You want to subscribe. Okay.
Ooh, and hit that notification bell. Give it a little tickle tackle. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Node Podcast and enjoyed our 3-week series taking you into some of our favorite Christmas specials. Stay tuned, because this Christmas Eve, I know this is on a Wednesday, which is a bit weird. Normally we do movies on Wednesday. That's because Christmas Eve on a Saturday, that's right, we are going to be releasing our Santa Claus 2 review. So please enjoy that. And then the end of the year, we have something special for you. The last week of December, we are going to be ranking all the TV shows and movies that we have watched in 2 separate videos on that Wednesday and Friday. Stay tuned for next week. Thank you and goodbye.